Hello, trading is closed on August the 14th, 2020. We'll do our disclaimer, then go over our call. This is my plan for Monday. And follow my rules, please. Look for the pattern with the early low. This is it. Monday also has the early low. We said that unless we took this high out early with a gap, lower prices should print, which they did. Here's what we said. Next week's patterns are listed here. During the day, MEJT said ultimately lower prices would print. We got the minimum. Almost always we get more, which we did. Optionally, it's a higher target would also print, and that happened too. MEJT said this rally was false. Prices would retrace, and that worked. DeMark's TDST line is resistance and still holding. We now have 913.9 combo and sequential sells. I know they haven't worked, just be aware that they have printed. Well, here was the recovery high. Now had time to recover. Not only haven't we recovered, we're trading under all these highs. Would be more convincing if we traded under some lows, which we were until the last 10 minutes. This is under all these lows, and that's pretty negative. To me, a wall in the last 10 minutes doesn't invalidate this drop. High percentage of the time we're going to gap under the low of this wall. Doesn't mean we have to. But if we do gap under the low of this wall, it would be more evidence that the high of this leg was in. This still remains a valid count. These fib relationships still remain valid as well. This line is resistance and still holding. You connect this low and this low, that's a major trend line. You see these hits here, and if you extend it all the way into today's trade, we broke under the trend line, and all we've done so far is return to it. That trend line is resistance. A rally back up to resistance. Either you gap over that resistance or the resistance trend line wins. For people who like Gann fan lines, this is a monthly chart. Here's what the Gann fan line set right at the all-time high. And here's what they're saying now. They meet right at the high. If you look at the lower one of those lines, you'll see a number of nice hits. And we've come right up to that point and hit it. This goes back to the beginning of the rally in 2009. Strong trendline resistance. We're also trading over the upper Bollinger Band on the monthly chart. It isn't a sell signal because you can go past Bollinger Bands at extremes, but typically, you don't go past Bollinger Bands by very much. One way to interpret the bands, we have prices equal, essentially, to where they were at the all-time high. The all-time high took us far over the band. We're now slightly over the band. It's one interpretation of this is we're weaker now than we were then. Monday's pattern has the early low. Doesn't mean you won't gap up. You don't have mixed signals. I'll change the color. Usually it's a rally day with a high in the final hour. But if you have early weakness, it usually leads to more weakness in the days to come, even if the rest of the day goes up. Recovery high is followed by a reversal. Hasn't been invalidated, but it's now undercut prior highs. Have a wall into the close. High percentage of the time we're going to gap down Monday, most likely under its origin. If you're a bull, you want to gap up instead. Until some prior lows fall, it remains possible for the bulls to win. But unless we gap up Monday, the odds are continually increasing. And at least for the short term, this rally is going to stall or even reverse. Early low Monday. If we get the gap under this and there's early weakness, the odds increase, the highs in. And that's today's call.